I picked this 4runner up. I only paid 400 bucks for it, but it needs, the front is damaged, which isn't really a big deal, but it needs the timing belt replaced. As you can see, the timing belt, it didn't break. What happened, the guy said that the water pump went bad and he was going to replace it, so he took it all apart, replaced the water pump, put it back together, and then the timing belt like fell off or skipped a tooth or something, which on these it's not a big deal because they're a non-interference engine. So he just tore it all apart again to see what was wrong and then just never put it back together. So hopefully I can put it back together and it'll work. I need to get a timing belt and stuff, but should be pretty good for 400 bucks. Yeah, I'm fine with that. So I got the 4runner in the garage here and I've started working on it. All day yesterday I was working on it. I don't have the timing belt yet to fix the engine, but I started on the interior because the interior of it was really disgusting. So I took the front seats out because they were really gross. And this side I have yet to actually clean, but you can see that it's just really disgusting. And the other side I've already cleaned and it's much nicer. In the camera it doesn't look actually a whole lot nicer, but trust me, it looks way better. This side's got really nasty stains and just grossness everywhere. So hopefully by the time I'm done it'll look a little better and probably smell better as well. You can see the contrast in the clean carpet that was underneath the center console and what wasn't. So I took all the center console out too because it was really disgusting. I have that over here. I actually took it completely apart and cleaned every single panel down. So like I took that out, took all this off, cleaned it all out because these were just full of gross. Like this was just all, it was just really disgusting. So these are all the parts for the engine and I took inventory and it looks like all the nuts and bolts are here for it, so that's good. I'm gonna need to still figure out what I'm gonna do with the front bumper here. I might try to find a new one, or I might take that off and see if I can bend it back. The headlights are broken too. A lot of the studs are broken. I actually have a new right hand one, but this one I don't have another one of, and it's also broken in a couple spots, so we might need to get a new headlight, but that's not too terrible to do. And then the front seats, I actually already cleaned this one, and then this one is the driver's seat and I haven't cleaned it yet, but it wasn't near as bad as the passenger one for some reason. Whoever sat in the passenger seat was disgusting, so that should be about it. And then this panel here for the center console, apparently the people that sold it to me said the stereo was stolen out of it and they must have just ripped this out, and then whoever stole it just cut all the wires, so that's not good. But luckily I have some other 4runners that I don't actually need this in, so I'm gonna go steal the center panel of it because they destroyed all the buttons for here too. So I'm gonna go get that out of one of the other 4runners and swap it. The only bad thing is the one out of the other 4runner is silver and not black, so not quite as good, but it's what it is what it is. Well, that's it for this side. I think it definitely looks better. There's still some stains that I couldn't get out, but like this spot, for instance, looks amazing. And that was probably one of the worst spots. There's still a pretty dark spot right here. Some of that's just shadow, but I think it's looking way better. It's definitely probably going to smell a lot better than what it did too. This rear seat came out pretty clean. I think the interior is pretty much done other than wiping down all the panels. I need to work on this armrest here. It's pretty dark, so I might get my steamer out for that, and then just all this stuff is pretty gross too, but that can just be wiped down because it's just plastic. So I think that's all I'm gonna do for the interior, so now we'll switch over to the engine. Well, as you saw before, the front end on this was all damaged. So I took the bumper off, and the damage really isn't too terrible. This bash bar here got kind of bent up. These are just brackets for push bar that was on here apparently. So, oh, that one just fell off. So I'm gonna take all of those off and then probably unbolt this bash bar, and then hopefully we'll just be able to straighten this right here, because the frame part actually doesn't look bent. It's just this plate that attaches everything onto it. So I'm gonna take everything from there forward off. This side is the same, it's just that plate that's bent back. So I'm gonna get all of this off, and then I'll have to try to find something to go on here. Hopefully I can find something that'll work, but. All right, got all the bolts out, should just lift off. There. So these plates, you can see they're all bent up, but the frame rail, which is right here, is nice and flat. So we just need to bend these back straight on both sides and find a new bumper, and we should be good. Both of the headlight brackets broke. You can see they're really loose. And yeah, this one's loose over here too, and then this light's broke, but should be pretty easy. It does look like this bent a tiny bit right here. So after I get this light out, I'm gonna have to bend this back out a little bit, but this side looks perfect. So I'm not too worried about that. And the hood closes just fine too. So once I get these headlights out, and I have one headlight from one of the other ones. I forget which side this is. This is the passenger side. So I should be able to fit this in there, and hopefully it'll work, and I'll only need to buy one. But now that I hold this up here, I see that they look a little different. So I don't know. I'll have to see once I get it all done, but it's coming along. I'm still waiting for the timing belt to come. It's supposed to come today, and then I need to get the radiator out of here. It's just been draining for the past like half hour. So all right, I got the headlights off. This one's really good. This bolt here got bent in a little bit, so I'm gonna have to push from the back side and make that flat again. And then the same thing happened on this side. This one got pushed in quite a bit. So on the back side, tap that back out, untwist this top part a little bit, and then this one, this stud here, got bent out a little bit. So that should be pretty easy. I can almost do that one by hand, which I did pretty much. So yeah, so really not too bad. Need to find some more headlights, but not that big of a deal. I'm not buying anything for this until I know it runs fine. And the only thing I've bought for it so far is a timing belt. So once we get that put in, make sure it runs, we should be good. I did get the battery recharged. It was completely stone dead, but I was able to rejuvenate it. So I hooked that back up, and I learned that it has 260,000 miles on it, but there was a check engine light, so I put my reader on there, and the only check engine, or the only codes that came up, it was for the map sensor and the intake air temperature sensor, which aren't hooked up. So hopefully there aren't any codes or anything with this, so that's a really good sign. I was hoping there wasn't like a code in there for like a misfire or something like that, because then that could be way more problems, but everything's looking good. So I worked on bending these back out a little bit. As you can see, they're definitely back out more flat. I think I pounded them out a little too far. I'm gonna have to push them back in. Same with this side. It's a lot better, and I twisted this back a little bit too. I was getting the radiator out, and the radiator has a bolt there, and then same on the other side, there and there. And I already disconnected this hose here, the bottom radiator hose, and then the transmission cooler on the bottom, the two hoses down there. So it should be all loose, which it actually sits in here with these little clips. So you have to lift it out and lift it back, and then it should just come straight up as long as that hose doesn't catch, which it did. So there it is out. As you can see, this radiator was leaking and it's all bent from when he hit something. So it's got a fair amount of junk in there too. So get a new one of those once we learn if this is gonna work or not. The condenser is also a little bent and there isn't any pressure in the lines. And the reason for that, I believe, is this little kink right here. It got smashed up against there. So I'm gonna try to replace this line. I think I might have one. It just goes from here over to here. So I'm gonna try to replace that if I have one and then see if I can recharge that. But now we should have enough room to get this pulley off here and get the rest of the timing cover off. I decided to take the condenser out because it was just getting in the way. I couldn't get my impact gun on the crank bolt. So I just undid the lines here. There's no pressure in the lines anyway, so it shouldn't really matter. I should be able to lift this up and pull it out. And then I can pull it right out. Hopefully it's still good. Just sit here next to the radiator. But I actually do have a good one on my other 4runner I can grab if I need to, but it would be a lot of work just to grab it out of there. So now I should have plenty of room to get onto that crank bolt. Well, I think I figured out why the guy gave up on this. This crank bolt is extremely tight. I was using this impact gun, which is known to take off pretty much anything I can throw at it. It's a huge gun that I bought specifically for this. And this is my normal one that I have, that I use all the time. And you can see the size difference between the two. It's just, this one can pretty much do anything. But I had that on there, and I actually turned the pressure up on my air compressor too, and it will not get that bolt off. So I guarantee you, he took this apart, replaced the water pump with it just like this, and re-put the timing belt on, but he didn't get the timing right because he couldn't actually see where this the teeth were lining up down here. And that's also probably why he didn't change the belt himself, because this belt, you can see, is cracked pretty good. So I almost guarantee you there's nothing else wrong with this engine except for trying to get this off. I was tempted just to put the breaker bar on here and let it sit on this skid plate and then hit the starter to see if it would crack it loose, but I also don't want to break something else trying to get this off. So I will get back to you as soon as I figure out how to get this done. Well, I don't know what to do, so I don't really want to make something to do that, and I'm just going to put that on there. This is going to hit the frame rail hopefully when I turn the starter over, and we'll see if that breaks loose. Not really sure what'll happen, but hopefully it won't break. I think that did it. I couldn't actually see, but it's loose. It's crazy that that works. I couldn't get anything else to work either. I need to check what the spec of this is for the torque, but I think I might just hammer it back on there with my impact gun and call it a day. I'm pretty sure that's what I did with the other one. Actually looks like there's a little bit of corrosion on there. That may be why it was so tight. I don't think they put Loctite or anything on this, so. Now that that's off, we'll get this pulley off and keep going. Should be it. Alright, now we can take this timing belt off finally. And we can take this off. I guess the gear can probably stay on there. We don't really need to take it off, but yeah, we can leave that on. I think it should have like a little dot on it somewhere. See the little dot right there? So that's where the line on the timing belt needs to go. Made it red, so now you can actually see it easier. So I'm gonna put that back on. There's a little pin in there that hits this and pushes this up. And there's a little slot right here. So you need to push that back down and put a pin in here. So this will go back more and relieve the tension off of the belt so you can put the belt on. And then once you get the belt on and everything's lined up, you pull the pin and it releases pressure onto the belt again. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just take this off. There's a bolt here and then there's a bolt on the back side, which might be a little difficult to get to. So I couldn't figure out a good way to get this tensioner off without taking the AC compressor off and that bracket off. And I was trying to get this pin pushed back down while it was still on there, but I could not figure out a way to do it. It's extremely strong. So I ended up just taking all the brackets off and stuff. So I just put it in my press over there and got that pushed back down. I just used an Allen wrench to put through the hole there to hold it in. So I might have to actually pull this back out a little bit because it's pretty long, but it should work. And now I can get this back in there and pretty much get everything put back together because that was the last thing I needed to do. All right, so it's been about a week since the last clip, but I wanted to show you when I took the timing belt tensioner off. This is the original pulley. This one was extremely loose. So I decided I went and bought a new tensioner and a new idler pulley for this because I didn't want it to, when it was running, be really loud, and figure if I'm trying to resell this, somebody's gonna know that, or I don't really want to do all this work and not do it right. So figure I'm gonna just replace those. It was only, I think, $40 for these two. I think the tensioner is fine. I didn't replace that. I also thought this was worth mentioning. I don't have this tensioner bolted in all the way because I've found that if you leave these bolts a little loose, you can pull this down and relieve more pressure off the tensioner, and it's a lot easier to get the belt on. And then once you get the belt on, you can push this, bolt this up, and that'll give more tension on it then. And then when you're 100% ready, you pull this pin and then that will put all the tension on it. Now we need to get the cams lined up. So there's a little notch here, or a line here, and then there's a little arrow right here that needs to line up with. And then it's the same on the other side. For the bottom one, you can see this mark right here. There's actually a little dot on the inside of this pulley, and there's an arrow right here, which it's very hard to see, but there's an arrow right there, and you line those two up, and then this dot right here is where the line on the timing belt will go. So here's the timing belt. You see there's one that says left cam, which says it this way, but it actually needs to go this way. And then there's one that says right cam, and then down at the bottom there's one that says CR, but crank. And you can see there's actually arrows that point which way it needs to go, so that goes towards the front of the vehicle. So we'll get this on and I'll show you how it looks. The timing belt is on, so I want to show you how this lines up. So you can see the mark on the pulley here lines up with the line. Mark on the pulley here lines up with the line. And then down at the bottom, the dot has to line up with that line. So as long as all that lines up, everything is good. So I'm going to tighten up the tensioner now. I actually loosened it even more. You can see there's quite a bit of a gap behind there, but that made it so much easier. I actually don't even know how you would get this in here without doing that. So I'll tighten this up first, and then I'll remove this pin, and then we should be able to get all the covers and everything put back on here. So I decided before I go any further, I want to try to start it. I don't have any of the accessory belts on, so it won't charge or power steering or AC work, but don't care about that. Coolant's not hooked up. I put this radiator back in here because I wanted the transmission cooler not to shoot transmission fluid everywhere. So I just hooked that back up. I put the air box back in with the airflow sensor or whatever it's called in there. So I just want to see if it'll start. I haven't heard this thing run yet. I would like to try to see if it'll go. I think the key's in it, so cross your fingers. It is smoking a little bit, but I don't know how long this sat before I started it up. So, I mean, that's quite a bit of smoke. So that's not the greatest thing ever. Hopefully it'll come out of that. It sounds really good though. I'm gonna go shut it off. That sounded really good. I'm pretty happy with that, other than all the smoke. Like I said, I have no idea how long this sat before it just now ran. She did tell me it was probably sitting at least a year, so hopefully rings will reseat or something. I don't know. Who knows what it could be, but it did start, it runs, so now I gotta finish this up. Hello everyone, so it's been another couple days. I haven't worked on a whole lot after the last one. I did get the AC bracket back on and the AC pump on. I went to the junkyard. We have a local wrench and go, kind of like a pull part type thing. And I got a new grill, a new chrome grill, because this one was cut out for like a push bar or something. So I got a new grill, and I also got a couple new headlights, which this one has a hole in it, so I might swap the glass out on this one for one of the other ones. And then I also got a new corner marker turn signal thing for the one side. And the big piece was I found this bumper. So unfortunately it's not the same color, and it has a couple of dents in it there and here. But overall it's in pretty decent shape and it should work good. And all of these parts actually cost less than half of what new ones would have cost. So, and I would have had to paint the new ones anyway. So, and the other final piece that I got was this new bar here. So this will go on here once I get those brackets kind of fixed, but that'll go back on there. So it's a pretty good deal getting all that stuff. And it was a lot easier than ordering online. A lot of the stuff I couldn't really get online, or it was just really expensive. All right, let's get this thing out of here, hopefully. Well, as you can see, it's running. Still smoking some. I'm really hoping it'll come out of that, but we'll see. It's in four-wheel drive right now. In the part-time four-wheel drive, you can see it's flashing, so I'm trying to get it out of that. Usually it comes out pretty easy, but there's a little bit of a hesitation there. I don't like that. think the rear shocks are gone. Oh, there, it came out of locked four-wheel drive. Let's see if we can get out of the four-wheel drive now. There we go. Now it's in two-wheel drive. And it doesn't have any lights on, but it does have a hesitation, which I don't like. Yeah, not good. As you can see, we got the front bumper all finished painting. It's all dried. I got the lights put back in there, which this one, apparently I didn't have one, so I had to buy a brand new one. And it looks really shiny and clear. And then you come over to this one, it's all hazy and stuff, so that's kind of a bummer, but I had like 3 of this side and none of the other. So it was only 10 bucks, so I just bought one side. And then on the 4Runner, I got the front, I forget, bumper support on. I got new bolts in there because the bolts, or the nuts on the back sides, snapped off. They were originally welded. So I got that put back on there. It's nice and tight on there. So now we just really need to work on getting this whole front bumper put back together. We got the front bumper put back on now. It's on there pretty good. It's looking pretty good. The seams and stuff aren't going to be perfect, but honestly, for the price point that I'm going to try to sell this for, it's going to be fine. I mean, it has 260,000 miles on it. People can't expect a whole lot, so as long as I sell it for the right price, I think I'm being fair. So I think we're going to get the headlights put on now, and we'll see how that goes. All right, now we got the headlights and turn signal markers on. Looking pretty good. This gap right here, there's actually a filler piece that goes in there, so don't mind that. But I think we should probably get the grill on now. See how well that lines up. The bumper's definitely going to be crooked, even with all this on, but I'm not too worried about that, honestly. So, well, that's the end of it. I'm not going to put these filler things in because they don't really fit, and mostly because this is still bent pretty good here. But honestly, I don't really care about that. It's going to be cheap transportation for somebody in the winter. I guess let's get it sold. All right, so I finally have sold the 4Runner. I ended up having to do a lot more work to it, and it just kept getting drug out more and more, so I didn't film any of the rest. I kind of wish I would have, but I didn't. So I want to go through all the numbers on the 4Runner. So I bought the 4Runner for $400. I registered it because I don't have a dealer's license, so I have to register it in my name. That was $139. And then all the parts that I bought for it. So I did the timing belt was $30.41. The timing pulleys were $42.68. All the front end components, because it was hitting the front, so all the bumper, headlights, turn signals, everything that I replaced on the front end was $175.69. And I got most of that stuff used, or I already had it. So that could be higher if you needed to buy everything new. The radiator was $69.65. Some hoses, some radiator hoses were bad, and the paint to paint the front bumper was $31.75. I replaced all of the shocks. So the back ones were completely gone. The front ones I thought were bad, but could be fine. They're actually laying over here on the floor. But those ones I might actually keep in case I need something. They may not have been bad. It's hard to say. But I replaced all of those, and I actually did buy the whole assembly for the front, not just the struts or shocks. So all 4 of those were, or the rear shocks were $39.47. The front ones were $115.99. I found some change in the car, which totaled to $2.35. The front sway bar end links were broke off, and that was probably why I thought the shocks were bad, but while I was replacing the shocks, I found those were bad, so I replaced those for $19.55. The misfire that I mentioned in the video when I was driving it, how when you gave it a lot of gas it would hesitate, I figured out that the valve cover gaskets where the spark plugs go were shot. They were actually broken off. So 2 of the spark plug tubes were full of oil. So I sucked all the oil out, took the spark plugs out. There were like 3 different kinds of spark plugs in all 6 plugs. So I just put all new spark plugs in. That was $34 even. And then the valve cover gasket was $37.74. So all in, it was $1,133.58 that I had invested in this. And I ended up selling the whole thing in 2 days for $2,500. So I made like $1,300 on it. Very good profit. Probably one of the best profits I've done, more than double my money. I don't tend to do really good on when I'm trying to flip cars because I like to get them to drive perfect and to replace anything that's mechanically wrong. The body can have some dents and stuff here, but I like the mechanics to be 100% when I'm selling something, and I disclose anything that still needs to be fixed if I am selling something. So I try to be as honest as I can, and that may be why I get less money for them and invest a lot more, but I just try to do my best. And I haven't been doing a lot lately. I used to do it a lot more, but yeah. So that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, that'll be it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.